I got a special video for y'all today. So it turns out that a bit of orange made a video response to me. I must have made at least 3 or 4 videos on him, and he randomly picked one to watch. Now, to be honest, I wasn't planning to respond. I mean, his video's comment section already roasted the shit out of him. But then I changed my mind, since a lot of people messaged me saying they were looking forward to this. So here we are. Oh boy.
I've known of Professor Stick for some time now, but until today I had never watched any of his videos.
Oh, how dare you!
Because once you've seen one uninformed atheist ranting, you've seen them all. But then, the professor started making videos responding to my videos, and I thought, okay, let's give that a look. Right off the bat, he is literally a stick figure. No hands, feet, mouth, or background, and almost no animation. Pretty lazy and dull.
The fuck? Your arms are sticks. Are you not a stick figure yourself? Oh, whatever. Great job starting off the video throwing insults at my avatar. That's the real argument right there. High quality content.
But I figured, hey, he's got some followers. Maybe he makes up for his dull graphics with charm, wit, a wild sense of humor, and some good scientific cases for his position.
Yeah, no, I don't have any of that. I don't know why people follow me. But man, you've been on this platform longer than I have, and you're stuck at 200. I mean, I can give you some pointers if you want, but you gotta stop being so stupid first.
So I picked one of his videos he did replying to me, and I would like to say I was not disappointed. I would like to say he was charming and witty and made a few good points. I would like to say that, but I cannot because he was so horribly stupid and dull that I literally needed to take a Tums after watching his mindless garbage. What he lacked in graphics, he made up for with a potty mouth, a bad attitude, arrogance, and the ability to copy and paste from articles he clearly didn't read in their entirety.
You know, I was waiting for you to actually give me an example of me being unable to copy and paste from an article I didn't read, but you never got to that, so whatever. I'm gonna start chopping up your clips now to cut out a lot of the useless garbage, by the way.
We have never observed a beneficial mutation that added information to a genome. My claim was simple. We have never seen a beneficial mutation that added information to a genome. I think you heard me.
What? Excuse me? We have never observed a beneficial mutation that added information to a genome?
But then he counters with the claim that monkeys combine 2 existing proteins into a new protein.
Actually, I gave you 2 examples, but let's see you tackle this one.
Now, maybe he doesn't know what genes, information, a genome, or proteins are. I mean, he heard the statement I made.
I have a degree in biology. I think I know what they are.
Then he said I was a liar.
I'm sorry, but that's just a flat-out lie.
Now he's talking about combining 2 existing proteins, which are not genes, into a new protein, which is still not a gene, and somehow this is evidence that I am a liar and evolution has occurred.
Okay, so you misunderstand this because you haven't gone far enough into your biology classes. Yes, the end product is 2 combined proteins, but how do you think these 2 proteins join together? Because mutations and genetic errors cause the genes that encode these proteins to be combined. In the specific case of the example I gave, which you didn't even bother to play the clip of my actual argument by the way, I talked about trim-SIPA. This was created from a retrotransposition of cyclophilin A, or SIPA, into an intron that existed between 2 essential exons. Now, in translation, a retrotransposition is a mechanism that basically just copies and pastes genes around the genome. It was inserted into an intron, which is an area that is normally spliced out during post-transcriptional modification, meaning they don't make the final coding sequence when the amino acids are being stacked. Then, a modification in the splicing mechanisms in these monkeys that hosted trim-SIPA allowed this intron sequence to be expressed. Thus, we obtained a new protein that was trim but with SIPA inside, thus trim-SIPA. This is a genetic change, no matter how much you deny it, and you criticizing me for just saying protein says more about your understanding of molecular biology than it does about my example.
But wait, it gets worse for the professor. He says, we've seen this many times.
We've seen this many times.
He says, it's been observed.
This has even been observed to have evolved twice in 2 different monkey populations.
Note, observed. I said we've never observed it, and he says, it has been seen, it has been observed. We have never observed a beneficial mutation that added information to a genome.
Well, you're just arguing semantics at this point, because I use the word observed to mean we saw the presence of trim-SIPA in more than one monkey population, in which these 2 populations shared a common ancestor, compared to other less related monkeys which didn't have trim-SIPA. We can then precisely identify when this genetic change occurred in history.
Okay, let's Google the monkey protein he's talking about, since he doesn't know what a genome is. From the various articles I've been able to find about it, the only ones which try to put a date on when we have seen this beneficial mutation adding new information, by which Stickboy means combining 2 existing proteins into a new protein, roll my eyes, was, and this is just an estimate, between 4 and 22 million years ago!
Well, again, I didn't use the word observed to mean we physically saw it happen. What I meant is that we saw the aftermath of it, the final product of trim-SIPA, and saw that it was a genetic alteration that created a new protein with a new function. That's what you wanted, right? An example of a beneficial mutation that added information to the genome? This is a perfect example, even if it happened millions of years ago.
So, even if this was an example of a beneficial mutation adding new information, and it isn't, It's not an example of something we have seen. At least, we apparently have not seen it for several million years. So, when Stickboy says we have seen/observed this evolution happening,
You want an example that we actually saw? Fine. You know, I gave 2 examples in my original video, and you only went over 1. I wonder if perhaps the second example I gave fits your picky conditions.
A second example that is probably more relatable for you guys is the gene responsible for the production of apolipoprotein A1 melano. This protein is classified as a high-density lipoprotein that is responsible for recycling cholesterol from the bloodstream back to the liver. I'm sure you all heard about HDLs, how good they are, and how they lower your blood cholesterol levels. Well, this is a gain-of-function mutation that has occurred in the past, literally a new protein that helps with the regulation of steroids.
Yes, apolipoprotein A1 melano. This is a mutated version of apolipoprotein A1 and had a function that lowered the chances of heart disease for the individual. You wanna know how recent this was? It was so recent that we actually fucking know who had this mutation. His name was Giovanni Pomeroli, and he lived just before the 19th century. But you're not going to address this in your video, are you? Oh, no, that would be too honest.
And combining 2 existing things is not the same as making a new thing. Essentially, Stickboy is just wrong about everything he said. You got your chocolate on my peanut butter. You got your peanut butter on my chocolate. Oh look, evolution! The creation of something new. It's not new, it's just peanut butter and chocolate! It's delicious, but it's not evolution!
Genetics work much differently than your common food items. Combining 2 genes will create more than just 2 proteins joined together. This new protein will have an entirely different function that may possibly not be related to either of the components that created it, and the previous genes may not have had a function by itself, or a function that wasn't necessary for the organism. In addition, my example of trimcypo was an insertion by a retrotransposition, and may I remind you that is a copy and paste, which means the original cypa gene wasn't consumed or eliminated in this. It created a copy of itself and inserted it into the middle of another gene to create a protein that has a new function.
Oh, but wait, he has another long-winded example of a protein, sigh, roll my eyes, and cut to the chase. He says,
Well, this is a gain-of-function mutation that has occurred in the past.
Right, Stickboy. The distant, unobserved past, like all other examples of evolution.
Well, I mean, if you could just address my other example, that'd be great.
Number 1. Nothing observed. Nothing seen.
I'm gonna skip a bunch of his redundant points here to make this video more succinct.
In the video he's replying to, I say that most mutations are harmful, by which we mean they cause disease or death. Most mutations result in disease or death. And he says,
That's true, most mutations are harmful, and that's pretty logical if you think about it.
Yes, it is pretty logical to believe that a very complex information system will malfunction if you mess with the information that makes it work. He goes on and on explaining my point. And then he tosses this gem out, like a dove into the night sky.
But nonetheless, beneficial mutations do occur. They are rare, but once they happen, they can be easily selected for by natural selection.
They are rare, but they do occur.
Beneficial mutations do occur.
Oh, do they? Then how, I wonder, did he fail to mention any of them in the previous section?
It turns out I have to cut out more than I originally thought. It's so funny, you do a half-assed effort into addressing my first example of a beneficial mutation, ignore the second one completely, then claim I never gave an acceptable example. You go on for quite some time about this, so I'm just gonna cut a massive chunk of your video out so my audience doesn't get too bored. Next time you make a response to me though, don't purposely cut out parts of my video that already pre-debunk your arguments. That's just pathetic.
It must have evolved, they argue, because there it is. This is a very common evolution of the gaps attitude. Haha, that, my friends, is good writing. But what is even better than that is the fact that Stickboy just admitted to doing this mere moments before. He has shown previously that this is exactly what he is doing, but listen to him explain it in his own words.
Since evolution has been proven to, without a shadow of a doubt, we can explain how certain features occurred using an explanation involving evolutionary knowledge.
Because evolution has been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt, so strong is his religious devotion to Chuck D that he calls it evolutionary knowledge. We can explain how features occurred using evolution.
Oh, hang on there. You seem to have cut out a small part right after that segment. Let me just add that in for you.
And when we make explanations like this, we're not saying that it most definitely happened this way. We're just saying it's a very plausible explanation. That's it.
Okay, so it's very difficult to understand this line of thinking from a non-scientist point of view, so I'll make an easy to understand analogy. Let's say you had a roommate who always ate your food from the fridge without your permission. You know that for a fact. One night you left some leftover pie in the fridge and the next day it was gone. Now from this you can make a reasonable explanation that your roommate likely ate your pie. Do you know for a fact that he did? Of course not, but it's not unreasonable to assume that that's what happened, especially if you've seen him steal your food multiple times in the past. In ecological biology, if we see a certain trait, we will attempt to explain how that happened. Since evolution evolution has been proven to without a shadow of a doubt, we can use evolutionary theory to reasonably assume the events that occurred. Again, like I said in the original video, that doesn't mean we're 100% certain that that's what happened. Just like how we're not absolutely certain your roommate ate the pie. But is it more reasonable to think someone broke into the house, stole the pie, and left? No. Same thing in terms of evolution. Of course, you could argue how evolution hasn't been proven, which is a separate topic, but I'm just explaining why scientists think the way they think. It's not an evolution of the gaps argument. It's a reasonable deduction from already obtained knowledge.
But wait! Before some of you finish typing out the word strawman, listen to him a minute later.
In addition, evolution has been proven, and that's enough for us to use it to fill in some gaps.
Alright, so exact same idea here. Of course, I should have known that a non-scientist creationist would completely misinterpret what I'm saying. Anyway, he goes on to repeat that clip over and over again in an attempt to humiliate me, and he does that a lot for the rest of this video. So we're gonna cut that nonsense out.
But I'm gonna end the torture with a wonderful bit of hypocrisy based on his apparent inability to listen, even to himself.
In addition, evolution has been proven. Evolution has been proven to without a shadow of a doubt. Evolution has been proven, except the difference is that we admit we're not certain and that it's the best hypothesis we have. In addition, evolution has been proven, and that's enough for us to use it to fill in some gaps.
Jesus Christ, you mashed up these clips of mine making me appear like I'm contradicting myself when in reality I was talking about two different matters. Evolutionary theory, or natural selection, and the fact that organisms change over time has been proven. But the hypothesis part I said that we weren't certain of are various reasonable assumptions we can make to explain away traits of organisms. That's to describe front-end biology where we are looking at very specific things, such as why does bacteria have a CRISPR-Cas9 system? But for some things like birds having wings, that has been demonstrated to have undergone evolutionary change. These are two different things. I admit I didn't explain it in a way that a dumb f*** could understand it, but this isn't exactly advanced biology either. I'm done. Go check out the original video if you like. Unlike you, Orange, I will link the video in the description I'm responding to so the audience can see it for themselves. I can see why you didn't do it though, because if people actually went to my video, you'd be exposed for the liar you are.